Welcome to a Father's Day edition of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always in the newly minted home, Urbana's finest, Kevin Ducey.
What up, Ryan? Hey, great week to be in Illini, right? Let's not bury the lead here. Just say what needs to be said right off the top. Very happy for Terrence Shannon to be able to put this stuff behind him and start focusing on the NBA draft. Happy for the young man. We'll get into it a little bit later.
Yes.
Great week to be in Illini. Zakari Franklin finally a done deal. Ryan has been on top of this since Christmas, guys. But there was just some little things that were being hung up in here, and so it's really good. So a really good week for the Illini. Very, very happy to be on this show. Not a ton to talk about what's happening outside the lines, but we'll definitely look forward to interacting with the folks tonight, as always, with another episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get a little frisky and rowdy, man, I'm telling you, Kevin likes to.
Hey, let me say this, because I've gotten a couple arguments recently with not only some of our loyal listeners, but also some folks who are on some Twitter chats with us and Discord and stuff like that. I want to preface something. This will lead into what I talk about a little bit later. I love arguing sports with people. I love talking shit about sports. I've been talking shit with my friends my entire life about sports, about arguments, disagreements. LeBron's the GOAT, Jordan's the GOAT, Russell's the GOAT, things of that nature. It's never personal, and I know it's tough sometimes when you get in these arguments online that you want to change it as you think it's personal. It's never personal when it comes to just talking sports. It's going to be personal a little bit when I talk about my final thoughts, because that's complete disregard for facts and for human beings' lives at stake. But when we're just arguing about who we think is the GOAT, or who we think had the greatest season in Illinois basketball history, that's just fun banter. So just heads up on that one, just sharing my thoughts there. So
yeah, so we got plenty of to talk about, tons of things. We appreciate everybody who chimes in here, and we try to get to. So opening thoughts is a new thing I want to do for us, right? So Kev, and I got to mention Coleman Hawkins, congratulations. $2 million to go into Kansas State. So, I think that's definitely worth discuss. With opening thoughts, I'm more of things we may not hit on for big chunks the rest of the show, but something I feel it's important to talk about. So Coleman Hawkins, I think he kept his word, and, you can't really fault a guy if you kind of knew you were going to end up getting near $2 million. I think he weighed his options, and he was very smart about it, not surprising. And Barry's taking it personal, Kev. So just remember that. Coleman did what was best for Coleman, and you know what? He gets to play college one more year before he gets to go be a grown up and play pro, and he can make $2 million.
He's getting grown up money.
He gets to play dude. He gets to be Van Wilder and make $2 million. Seriously,
dude, Coleman. I know you already know, bro, but keep a couple stacks back for that. The government's gonna come get theirs on that. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah, I was about to say. I almost would have told him to keep it down a little bit. We don't need him to know everything,
Here's the thing on that one. Can I chime in on that? Is from a pure basketball sense, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I think Illinois probably has a better team coming back to Kansas State. I know Kansas State has done well in the transfer portal. I know Jerome Tang is a really cool dude. But when you have a limited window as a professional athlete, especially in sports, all sports except for basically golf, to earn, you have a very limited window. You have a window of typically, when it was just the professional ranks of 10 to 15 years, it's extended a little bit with college. If you have an opportunity to make that kind of dough right now, and knowing Coleman and the family situation that he has, he's got a great dad who was very active in his life, who was mature, who's played professional ball, who's made some money in this. I think Coleman made a really wise decision for himself personally, and you can't knock that. Basketball-wise, we'll see. And I know he wanted a cool football environment. K-State is is a really cool football environment from everything that I know. They're pretty wild and crazy. But he went for one school in the middle of a cornfield to basically another one, and good for Coleman. I'm happy for him. I hope he does well.
Hey, we need to get Matt McCumber on here about Kansas State. I mean, he was what, an assistant. He was like the sports information director or whatever.
Yeah.
Thomas Woodmansey's got some real. And look, I think Kevin feels the same way in the Lawrence region. Yeah, I will tell you, if you guys are on YouTube watching this, I'm going to tell you guys something. What if you guys enjoy the show and you guys are watching it, all we ask you guys to do is subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to like it, and we appreciate it, or even comment, that's cool. But yeah, like it for sure. Because if you're not, here's another thing. You could even make up a random YouTube if you don't want us to know who it is. That's fine. I don't look at every YouTube channel that subscribes it to try and find out who you are. Like,
just do Barry, Illinois, and you'll be good.
Yeah, you could be like Barry. You could just make up a name, and he'll never tell us who he is, and yet he knows who we are, and we still talk to him. Like he could see me at the grocery store and just be like, "There's Ryan," and I'll never know that was Barry. And that's fine. But so yeah, we appreciate everybody it's continuing to grow. 700. We're trying to get to 1,000 is the goal before the end of 2024, and I think we can get there because in the middle of basketball season, I think this show's getting a sponsor. Hey Kev, I got a sponsor about like this right here. I'm lining them up. We're going to talk about some logistics and fun stuff like that. So anyway, we appreciate you guys. Happy Father's Day to every father watching, and every Illini fan father. I'm sure every father, period, right? But you're Illini fans. You're watching this. We appreciate you. So hope you guys had a great day. I posted the pics with my kids on X. I'm sure you saw. Hey, Partler. Yeah,
Partier.
Yeah, Partier. Hey, appreciate you. So anyway, yeah, I posted a pic with the kids today, Kev. Let's see. We went to it's called like Splash Cove here in Decatur. So we went to the pool today. It was 95. Perfect. It's like Father's Day. Like, what do you want to do? I'm thinking, let's go to the pool. So we went and hung out. My son, my daughter, we went and got as you can see, I got a little sun. My son burned his cheeks a little bit. He's a little fairer of skin like his mom, so he didn't really get the olive color complexion, but his first little burn. So he's wore out. But yeah, I had a great day. Then we went to dinner tonight for Father's Day. I said, hey, I got to be back tonight to get that cherry on top to do the show because I enjoy doing it so much. Kev, how was your day?
Oh, man, like I wish I had as good a day as you did. It started with giving all blessings and praises of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We went to church this morning. Mm-hmm. Can't miss that on Father's Day to the Supreme Father, right? And then it was a busy day of moving and unpacking boxes, and I am tired. And it's been day 3 of moving. So like you tell me the kids, that your gorgeous daughters and wife, nobody wanted to just be like, yeah, well, hey, Dad, let's make you a dinner or let's do. Are you guys going to do that on a different day or something? No, I tell you this. So my youngest was with us all weekend. My oldest is at church camp. Okay. Church camp, first time she's done that. I've got some pictures. She's having a great time. My wife is the hardest working person I know. So she was grinding all day. Like she outworked me. I might have done more physical stuff, but she stayed on her feet and worked more than I did. So you know what, we got a trip planned to go see her family in New York here shortly. We'll get some R&R then. Her birthday's this week, Father's Day. It's always one of those things that pops up, and it's just like the confluence of it. It's just trying to make things work. So no, it was a great day. I miss my oldest. I really do. Moving into a new home, she doesn't have to live in the same bedroom as her sister, and she's really excited about that. So that's taking a little bit of the luster of moving into a new home away about her excitement. But she'll be back tomorrow, and I know she's going to get right away at cracking it, decorating her room and lining stuff up. So that's great. All in all, and big shout out to my dad. Great man, great father. Love him dearly. Appreciate him. Got a chance to talk to him. My stepdad. Matter of fact, dude, I forgot to text my father-in-law. I'm going to do that right now. So forgive me. Let me step away for half a second and text my father-in-law.
And while he does that, I got to tell you guys something kind of funny. So I grew up without a dad, and obviously I have one, but my mom raised me and my brother by herself. So I actually have given my mom some Father's Day cards over the years, which is funny.
Sure, yeah.
But she loves them. She gets a kick out of them. So we went to see her tonight, actually, too, real quick. After we went out to dinner, we stopped in, and she got to see her grandkids, and we give her a big hug. And yeah. So for all you guys out there who are raised by your mamas, don't forget on Mother's Day and Father's Day, they deserve that love. So I always give my mom that one. And yes, Sean, it's open on Sundays, I can promise. Is that who Barry's talking about, Kev James?
That's my dad.
How does Barry know this? Who is Barry? Do you know who this is, Kevin?
I'm 99% sure Barry knows my little brother. I don't know that we've ever met. So
okay, all right. I was about to say, because this is creepy, dude. If he knows like who your stepdad is and all this other stuff.
Oh, that's my James Ducey's my dad.
Okay.
JC James Christopher is my little brother. So, and yes, Sean, I live in Oklahoma.
I'm going to tell you what, Kev. We're going to get to the bottom of who Barry is, and we're going to figure it out at some point. Now, anyways, other than that good stuff, so I hope you all enjoyed your Sunday doing what you need to do with your JC.
Yeah, that's my little brother.
Yep. So, I was wrong about one thing, you guys. I was wrong about June 15th. You see, as I posted on here, I'm going to edit that because last week I told you guys he was announcing by the 15th. But you see, I was told that. And you know what? That's so far what I've been wrong on that. And I just want you all to know that's the only thing that I've been wrong about with Will Riley. So I want you all to know, don't take deep breaths. I want you all to know that Illinois is still leading from everything I know and hear. And if you've not noticed, no national person out there. Remember, first person to put a crystal ball was this guy, okay? That's fine. Then old Alec Bussey, who used to cover Illinois for Rivals, he went to Iowa State 247. He put his crystal ball in the next day.
And Bussey does good work, man. Like he's done it really well for himself. So
yeah, and then Travis Branham's like, I guess I better put mine in now. So Travis Branham put his in. I think Jamie Shaw has as well for one.
I think our boy Sturdy said so.
Yes, and I think Sturdy's putting his little thingy he does in. Not one national person has come out and said, actually, this is wrong. I'm changing it. And they've had several days now, 4 days to do that. Obviously, there's still 6 more to go after today where anything could happen. But I just want you all to know that Illinois is still leading. And from what I did find out, apparently he had a Zoom call with Tommy Lloyd when he got back on Wednesday from the Argentina because he was coaching the FIBA U18 team. The only thing I do know from that is that he didn't tell or he hasn't told any of the other staffs that he's not coming or they're out yet. He hasn't told those other staffs that. So that's the only thing I can tell you why some of these people are still thinking, hey, we have a chance. I just don't feel like he wants to blow it yet. I think he has a whole week to get, just kind of have everybody assumes it's Illinois and just leave it there. They're not going to just come out and say it's Illinois and we all know this, but most people feel pretty good about it. So I
always like to break things down on this situation from like a basketball perspective, right? And a week ago it was Kentucky and now it's Arizona. And so you got to look at that. So Tommy Lloyd's had a great deal of success at Arizona. Has not had much tournament success. At the same time, hey, listen, I understand that Illinois has had some transfers out. Illinois has not had anywhere near the level of transfers out in the recent times, like a Kylan Boswell, like a Omar Ballo, like a Kirk Kriisa. There's things surrounding Tommy Floyd about his Tommy Lloyd, sorry. I went to what was Floyd, Tim Floyd. Sorry,
yeah.
Got Tommy Lloyd and Tim Floyd mixed up in my head. There's things about Lloyd that are creeping out about the way he treats. He's not much of a player's coach, and I wonder if Kylan Boswell might be planting seeds in Will Riley's ear or talking to him about, hey, what it's like over there. But who knows? I also don't know what Arizona's really got coming back. I know Illinois doesn't have a lot coming back, but they have a lot coming in. I'd argue this Arizona's really big sell there is probably Tucson and probably more guaranteed playing time for a guy like Will Riley. What Illinois has going for it is I think it's probably Brad Underwood's more of a player's coach, even though he can be irate on the sidelines, but you see the players love him. And then secondarily is like I think Illinois is in a program that's probably in a better trajectory for next season and the following one, which is probably all Will Riley's looking at for a 2-year run. That being said, man, Arizona's got a lot of draw. It's been a very good program for a very long time. I think we're still in a good spot though. So,
and everything I've been told, Illinois still has the highest offer financially too. I know that could always change. You know that could have been brought into the equation, but I almost guarantee you, whatever Arizona would offer, Illinois would just match it probably. So.
And then, Barry chimed in. He said, "Would he be our best player right away?" I don't know. I'm still in the Ben Humrickhouse camp of probably the best player on the team next year. We've just seen what guys had done when they matriculated up the ranks, from the Dalton Connects to the Riley Minixes to the Marcus Damask. I don't think we can look at you played at Evansville and this is what you did. I think and then I mean there's obviously Kasparis and Kylan Boswell.
There's so much talent, man. So much. Like even Perez. And let me just tell you, Kev,
me
and Kev have our own little chat, and I think we know Dre Gibbs Lawhorn has a little something up his sleeve coming up.
Yeah, he shared some videos with you, Ryan, and I subsequently said he shared them with me, but it's basically the same. So Dre looks really, really good in some of the open team workouts. And it's not like, listen, we all know that Dre's got the flash, right? He's got the athleticism and the flash, and he can pull from deep. But what really impressed me, we saw some highlights, it was his ability. He was driving and finding the open man, and then he was hitting some mid-range pull-ups that were really pretty impressive. So it's going to be a dogfight to get minutes, man. Like you're going to have to bust your ass in practice, and iron's going to sharpen iron. Like I'll say it again. I think this team struggles a little bit early on, looks a little bit discombobulated. By the end of the year, I think this is a really, really good team. So
it's going to be super dangerous. And think about this. Riley may not play tons of minutes early, but by midway through the season, I think his minutes are going to go up. And Kerry Booth might be a guy who gets, 10, 12 minutes a game, and he's a talented long guy who can hit shots. I know this, and I know people have tried to speculate and say, Avicic might not get to campus till August. That's okay if he does. I can tell you that
grown-ass man, dude. He'll be all right.
Yeah, Antigua knows the process. It's not going to be December like it was with his brother. They went through that. They know what issues his brother had last year. I guarantee you Antigua's got this all figured out. And no, it's not a quick process, but I can promise you that Antigua and the staff's on it for what they got to do to get Tomislav where he needs to be. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, our 10th guy could score 12 points per game on any team in the league. Yes, we're going to talk Terrence Shannon Jr. I'm giving Kevin like 5 to 10 minutes to talk later. So I'm imagining that's going to be your final thought, Kev. Yeah. So you guys we're going to talk Terrence, and he deserves the final moment of this. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not too, but if you haven't liked or retweeted it, I tagged Terrence and Josh Whitman about him deserving his. But you guys know this, though. For the last month, Kev, I've been on it. He deserves his jersey in the rafters. He's innocent. He was not guilty. The man lost, and I'm only keeping it short because Kevin will start going, and I want him to keep it for final thoughts. But the man lost a lot, and we all know easily would have been a second-team All-American, but we really know it should have been first team, okay? I even corrected a couple of people online today that said, who would you take off well, it's RJ Davis. To me is easy. The dude had the ball in his hands so much, and he shot more than Terrence did, and he still averaged 2 points less a game. They averaged literally the same amount of steals plus
the only guy you can make an argument for over him is Zach Edey. That's it. That's
Yep. Yeah,
That's
no
it.
doubt.
That's the list. That's
Dalton,
the only clear cut guy you say is better than him is Edie, and I will eviscerate the Dalton Connect talk all day long. You
yeah.
want to talk about God? Why is his name eluding me? The guard for Connecticut,
Tristan
Newton.
Newton.
Yeah, because of what Tristan brought to the team overall. Yes, I can maybe argue that, but the numbers don't align.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, Tristan Newton. So I agree. Like I said RJ Davis to me was the easy one. So other than that, we'll get to that later, you guys. So the Will Riley thing this Sunday. To me, though, Kev, I know you've been hearing a lot.
Has that been announced, Ryan? That's official? I've been busy.
Yes. Yeah. Will Riley is he's announcing his decision this Sunday, the 23rd, next Sunday, back in his home in Canada. Family and friends are going to be there. It's like going to be a big party. And I honestly feel like, too, that was a lot of why he decided to do that. I think he didn't want to just do a simple, let me post my picture from Tipton. Hey, I'm coming to Illinois.
Right.
He wanted to make this a big celebration, and good for him. And so, yes, we're expecting him to reclass and come to Illinois. But, again, nothing is ever 100% in this. So I'm about 99.5. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm not going to be biting my nails this week worrying, and I don't think you guys should be either. So, we'll talk about that next Sunday once everything's finalized and he announces where he's going. And we'll talk about what a team with Will Riley really looks like. That's something we're going to talk about next week. So,
and yes, Sean, we're of the belief that he is going to reclassify.
Hey, Brandon, appreciate you. Happy Father's Day. And be safe in Guatemala. I actually had some very close friends growing up in the church that I went to go on several mission trips in Guatemala. They have some beautiful like Mayan temples that are built there that they went and they got to kind of explore a little bit. And Guatemala is a beautiful place. It's a great place to do a missions trip. I think
Brandon, if you haven't been before, so forgive us. I always got to clarify this because if you've been before, then we're basically mansplaining, preaching to the choir, whatever you want to say. But I spent some time in Central America, some of the kindest, most generous people I've ever met in my life, and I think you'll be blown away by the experience. So God bless you, man.
The announcement next week, Sean, is going to be 1 to 2:30 in between there, sometime in there. And I don't know if it's going to be on Instagram Live yet. We'll find that out. That's cool. Building houses there and leading students. That's awesome, Brandon. And thanks for watching, man. We appreciate you.
Oh, Ryan, I won't be able to make next Sunday either, by the way.
Oh, really?
I will be at church camp with my junior boys. I've been leading this small group of youth since they were in 7th grade. They've asked me to come to summer camp every year, and I've always found an excuse or a way to get out of it. And this is basically their last camp. Not a lot of kids go after their senior year. So I will be in Glorieta, New Mexico with a group of young high school boys and leading church camp. So
how long are you going to be gone?
We leave Saturday and we're back on Wednesday. So Barry will fill in.
Barry, you're not going to get to do it. You're not doing this. You're not doing this either, Barry. We're not going to do it. You don't get a blank screen and just a voice, man. You got to put your face on. You know what? I might do that. How about we do a fun thing about who to co-host, right? We do like a pick, like a wheel thing. What do you want to do, Kev? Shouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny because you talk to some of these guys are like, man, I got no intentions of being on the show. So
yeah, like maybe we should do that, like a Jay Bagan. See, like, do you want to fill in?
There we go. He said, "Oh, come on, that's our dude right there."
Yeah, I could have Jay Bagan as a guest host next week. Jay, you might just look at you. You're gonna get more than 15 minutes of fame. You're gonna get like, if I ramble, it could be almost an hour. So, so yeah, we'll see. I think right now we'll do a Jay Bagan. I might do a poll on the Discord, Jay Bagan, or we might maybe what's his name, Bobby Bednarco, right? Bobby.
You're gonna go, oh, dude, that just be jokes. Bobby's one of the funniest dudes, one of the coolest hangs, one of the easiest dudes to kick it with ever. So,
yeah. I'll talk to Will, see if Will wants to co-host with me.
Get DGL to co-host.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Anywho, I think Justin might do it. We'll see how it goes.
Hey,
So
Ryan, to get the wheels back on track a little bit, people want voice changer. Yes, they do. All right, we know you put in your crystal ball, and anytime you put in your crystal ball, you are well above 50% confident that it's going to happen.
Oh my goodness, I'm above 75 if I put a crystal ball.
What percent are you sitting with Will Riley right now, from what you know?
Well, from what I would, like I said, I'm at 99 right now.
All right, that's what we need to know.
There you go, 99. And again, if anybody wants to crucify me if I'm wrong, hey, just get the nails, man, and point me to the hill.
This isn't gonna be my final thought. It's not a part of my final thoughts, but I'll add it here. All right, so I cannot stand when people want to criticize people, and I'll say let's use Ryan here because Ryan's a better example. Yes, I get some information. I get like 1/10 of the information that Ryan gets, right? Because I have more limited sources, and Ryan works much harder on it. I cannot stand when people criticize a guy who puts a name out there and says, I believe this guy's going here. Because these are young men, and they change their minds, they make decisions. It's like the what's his name? Ray J. Dennis situation.
Yep,
Ray J. Dennis told everybody in the Illini circles he was coming there. And so that's all you have to go on, and then it changes. So, yeah, the Illini Dave says somebody could come in at the 11th hour with a bag, and Ryan could be wrong. Like, just don't come after the Derek Pipers, the Jeremy Warners, the Brad Sturdys, the Alex Bussies when guys miss, because they're going to miss. And I also want to say this, is that I hope Illinois Nation has a different perspective for the next time that a kid comes to play basketball in our arena who is charged with something or who has been suspected of doing something. Maybe we should kind of keep our mouths shut a little bit. Maybe we shouldn't jingle our keys at them until they've been convicted. Maybe we shouldn't tell them no means no until we truly read up on that. And I'll add a little bit more on that in my final thoughts, but just maybe we ought to have a little bit more perspective going forward. So
you are late, lazy Forrest Gump. You got any Gump dumps for us real quick before I move on?
And Durst said it right. There's more uncertainty this day and age with the transfer portal, and more now than ever that NIL is so readily available. It's not like guys are getting underhand bags now. They're getting in-your-face bags, and it's much different.
Yeah. I'm thinking
without the NIL world that we're living in, there's no chance in hell that
Dan Dockich actually changed it. Dan Dockich actually changed his tune, Kev. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think Dan Dockich just likes getting the reaction. And it's kind of funny because I got so pissed at him, and I'm realizing he just does it for the reaction. So,
yeah.
Dan Dockich came after and said, hey, listen, if Terrence Shannon's accusers if she was not sexually assaulted, then she needs to be thrown in prison. I'll get into that in my final thoughts too. So,
yeah, the thing is this is the only thing I have to say on Dan Dockich. He really didn't delve in and do any research of the whole situation. But see, these guys with a platform that they're on Outkick, they don't have anyone repercussions for what they say. Outkick lets them say whatever. So he can sit there and say, I wouldn't root for him, and I'm still not rooting for him. That's what he said. And then people were like, do you actually know what happened? And then when he found out that there is no evidence towards him DNA-wise in the money stuff in the text, then he changed his tune from, well, I am rooting for him, and I hope he has a great career in the NBA, and he shouldn't have been that should not have happened to him. See, he may still feel the same way about, well, I wouldn't root for anyone who's been charged. That's fine. You can be ignorant. That's okay. But
what up, Josh Cox, my man? How you doing, buddy? Appreciate seeing you, dude. He probably just got out of the gym.
Is this like? Is this like Urbana, like 95 middle school?
Nah, Josh is a little bit younger than that, so he's younger than me. We played some softball together. He was with a crew of kids a little bit younger than me. Great dude. Here's the one thing Dockich said that I actually kind of agreed with. other than the fact he's been carrying Caitlin Clark's water for forever, is he said, I'll never root for an Illinois player. And I'm like, okay, I get that. Like, I firmly get that. Leave it at that, dude. Don't call me a white fanboy because I have people in the know that talk about the quality of human being that Terrence Shannon is. And I mean, they ran a special on him right before everything went down of all the work and stuff that he does. And everybody that's ever come across him and met him he's so gracious as a young man. Like, don't come at me like that. And I'll stand on this. Like, I don't know that I got a big enough platform to make it stand up for Dan Dockich, but he's always talking about wanting to meet people in the ring. I'll throw hands with him. We can do a charity boxing thing. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, he won't, dude. He won't. He's all talk.
I mean, he's an athlete. He's a big dude. I mean, like,
yeah, but I just want you to know, 10, 15 years ago, he's got a bad hip. He struggles getting around. His health has been really bad the last few years, dude. He's not getting in the ring. You'd also feel really bad if you beat up a guy with one hip. So I think
how much money we made for charity.
Yes, it's true. So anyway, we're gonna transition real quick because yes, Kevin is biting at the bit to get to final thoughts, and I don't want to rush the show to get to final thoughts, but we have to talk about a couple other things real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some football recruiting.
Yeah, we are, but I also want, and this is gonna lead into it, but because I've been talking about him for so long, we only gave him a minute. But let's talk about this. How explosive is this going to be that they got Zakari Franklin finally on board, you know? Like,
well, when you've got one proven pass catcher on the team and Pat Bryant, it's huge because we see things with some guys like Wilcher and Elsie and Ashton Hollins. And, like, there's other guys, and the Colin Dixons came in with a ton of promise. Like, there's a lot of unproven Hank Beatty, who I think has a lot of skills. To have a second proven pass catcher is so huge for this team, and a guy who really could come in and do and do all the things. Like, he can do the things Isaiah Williams did. He can do the things Casey Washington did. He's got all the skills, and I know he didn't have a great year at Ole Miss. He was banged up, but I'm really excited. So,
and that's the thing about this too. It's not even just a pass catcher that you can count on. A spectacular pass catcher. A dude that makes crazy catches. Like, I've been tweeting out some of them. And this is a guy that Luke Altmaier can just throw the ball up to in the back of the end zone. And I bet you most of the time he'll come down with it, you know? And it's like, not just that, but then you're giving guys like Elsie and Wilcher chances to just be the third or fourth guy.
And get the third or fourth level of coverage.
Yes,
right, where the primary and secondary are going to go Franklin, Bryant, and yeah, that's huge for an unproven pass. That's how unproven pass catchers jump up and become really good. So,
yeah. So this weekend, Illinois is like, how do we kind of take that momentum? I don't know. Are you looking at some of the chat, Maurice?
Yeah.
Yep.
I laughed when you said that. So
yeah. So how does that transition from last weekend with the commits they had? And I missed my first crystal ball. John Forster committed to Rutgers, and let me tell you, Illinois thought they had him when he left. I think he was really ready to commit, and then Rutgers has a top 8 national recruiting class. They've got some really heavy momentum in that state. Dude, Greg Schiano is going to have those guys back to where he had them before he left last time.
Should have never left Rutgers, dude.
Yeah, I wonder what they'd be now. But, yeah, so he's killing it. He got back home, and it only took a few days for all the New Jersey folks to kind of get back in John's ear, and they ended up getting him. So I missed that one. But we had some big commits from last weekend. So this weekend, you saw I put a couple crystal balls in. One I know is happening. The other I'm hearing really good things about. So the biggest one that I have great confidence in, I would say 95% is Stroughton from from Michigan, from Roseville, Michigan, who had a Michigan State crystal ball before that. But then Coach Corey Parker deserves some big-time credit for this young man. He got an offer because he did a camp, and then he'll be visiting next weekend. And just a top 700 kid. I think that's how you get your secondary. It's Desmond Stratton, by the way. That's how you get your secondary to get back to where we were wanting it, and to get you're getting kids in the top 700, but who if Corey Parker likes him and he's offering him, and I'm on board with it. That dude knows his stuff. He's coached great players, and he's well respected. And this one is a guy that I think could be special. I mean, I know he's excited about it. I know the staff's excited about it. No, he has not committed yet, but I would, if I could put money on it, if we wagered money, I'd be putting money on a Desmond Stratton commit next weekend. So there's that one. And then I also put one in for Redmond out of West Palm Beach, Florida. Max Redmond. He was an FSU. People think he's going to FSU, but they haven't prioritized him. And so I know Illinois really did that for him. They really want him. I know Aaron Henry likes him a lot. And if Kev ever reached out to Aaron Henry, he'd probably know that. But I happen to be able to talk to some people, and the whole defensive staff likes him a lot, and Corey Parker likes him. And I think this is going to be a really nice piece in a few years. Super athletic, 3-star athlete. Like I said, Mike, you got Norville at FSU, who's got a machine rolling there in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
He just took a visit there last week. So those are the two now to watch out for. And then they also had a linebacker from Cal who that they think they can flip. So I think let me get you his name here. It's Ke'Bryan Winston. So Ke'Bryan Winston's a guy that's really trying to flip from Cal. I think they can get it done. I haven't heard enough yet to put a crystal ball in for him, but you already know. If I do, you should feel pretty good if I do it. I can tell you that. Don't lock. I don't do locks anymore. But if I put crystal balls in, you know I'm feeling really good about it. But so I'm just waiting on the word on the Ke'Bryan Winston from Cal. But I know Illinois really showed out this weekend. I think they've been selling huge, the family vibe, the family atmosphere, and the players are really loving that. So, and I know Justin Stepp's making a huge difference at
100%.
Dude, he's a closer too. So really love the staff, the new additions they've got. They're younger, they're more vibrant, they've got that swagger to them. So I think this 2025 class is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, and I think that obviously it took some time for I don't know what the exact reasons were, but Brett Bielema was so hesitant to reach into the NIL side for a recruiting, both in the transfer portal and with high school kids. And now he seems to be coming along on that, and that's huge. And I get it, man. Brett's an old school guy. He's an old school guy with how he believes football should be played. I know that had he not had that philosophy, we might not have got Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph back last year because he was all about keeping the NIL in-house for players returning. But this is the game you got to play now in today's college football, and you see the dynamic fundamental change that happened in the last 3 months from when we got money for NIL, for recruiting, and Brett said, look, listen, we're going to do it. And so, yeah, like Barry said, it's sink or swim. And I'm feeling much more confident with where the program is going. However, this year is going to be a difficult year. We're going to have to figure out some things on the defensive side of the ball. I think the secondary will be much better. I do think I've said this. I think the offense will outpace the defense. So, all in all, man, this is really good stuff that we're talking about. Some of these kids that we're getting in on. This isn't like some of the recruits we've got before we're beating out Western Michigan. So,
oh no,
yeah, and Billy Moe said it too. Here, we don't have as many guys who cost a lot to keep, like Isaiah, like Keith, like Johnny. and hopefully that'll change. So
Lucas Colbrecki, my brother. We've spent the first good chunk of 40 minutes talking about Will Riley. You know, and I can tell you this. If you miss this, as soon as it ends, the replay is there available for you. And it automatically goes to our YouTube channel. So it'll be on there too. If you haven't liked or subscribed that at 200 columns, keep it in orange and blue. But yeah,
and we're good. We're good, Lucas. Not much changed. Next week he's announced that we're good. So
yeah. Yep. So a lot of good coming on the football. I'm excited for football season being here. I'm stoked for it. I know the new football game coming out is going to have everybody ready. Hey,
yeah, I just found out I've got it for a Switch, so I can get it for the Switch because my kids got a Switch. So I'll be like, oh,
I'm putting out, and I'm okay with this, you know, because if anybody happens to know anyone or has get Ryan a PS5 charity fund, we can. If I need to ring a bell like this, I can hold up a cup. You guys could toss some quarters in it or whatever you need to do because I need to get me a PS5 because PS4 is not. I guess you can't play it on the PS4. So yeah, if anybody knows anybody that's selling,
I know they're not coming out with new ones for my PS3. So
no, definitely not. Yeah. So anywho, that was my little spiel for the PS5 by charity. But yeah, I need to get me one. And anywho, but I'm excited to play the game. And the Switch is good. I don't have a Switch, so I need to get one. Now, as we work that way towards the final thoughts, Kev. Yes, GameStop gift cards, correct. Per Henry, 85 of the Illini are in the game. Cool. Sweet. Hope things are going well. Jason, with your flag football, I saw earlier you said that Henry and Tanner Arkin were coaching, and they had a good time.
Hey, Barry will appreciate this. Back in the day with college football, Zach Becker won the Heisman Trophy on my team. Good old number 41, playing fullback for Illinois in the trophy. So,
wow. So, because this is going to be a little longer final thoughts tonight, Kev, I'm going to give you the floor. You can go 10 minutes if you need. That's fine because we're at 43 minutes. If you need 5, that's fine too. So, go for it.
All right. First off and foremost, I prefaced this earlier. Illinois fans need to take notes from what Terrence Shannon went through from a legal level before we react to other players coming into our house, right? So first off, let's look ourselves in the mirror and give some. People might not believe this, but I've always been on the amen. Until they're convicted, I'm gonna lean on the fact that innocent until proven guilty. So we as fans, we can criticize Northwestern fans, we can criticize Purdue fans, we can criticize Wisconsin fans, we can criticize Penn State fans, whomever we want to come out and criticize. That criticism is really misplaced because who is the loudest voice in the arena at a college sporting event? That is the students, 18 to 22-year-olds. I was an idiot when I was 18 to 22 years old. So I'm going to give a little bit of grace there. Where I don't have a lot of grace and I don't have a lot of patience is for the national media pundits. And here's the reason why. You had a player at that point in time in college basketball who was the second best player in the nation. I mean, it was just flat out. Illinois was a team on the rise. We were a trendy pick for some teams for Final Fours, unless you were Tyler Hansbrough. And you had a star, an absolute star in the game who should have been celebrated in every way possible. Not only was he a fun, exciting basketball player to watch, but by all accounts, a first-class stand-up young man. To quote Jeff Goodman's words, he called him a sweetheart of a young man. I don't know that I've ever heard Jeff Goodman use those terms. Jeff Goodman always comes off a little prickly. You had this young man who faced a charge of rape. Anybody with any common sense should have dug into this, read the affidavit, the other information that was in our hands in the public sector. You didn't have to be the godson of one of his attorneys to get this information. As a matter of fact, I never pinged my godfather, Steve Beckett, for this information. I never once asked him because I do believe there's a fine line between asking them and then what I can present on the show. It's kind of the same way that Ryan bagged on me about Aaron Henry. Is he's a friend, so I'm a little cautious about asking him for information. The affidavit was there. The fact is that this young man was charged with a crime that happened in early September and was not formally charged until December. Late December, as far as we know. So there's been some talk about December 5th, and I'm not going to get into all of those logistics. But if you're going to have a public rape charge that happens in a public place, in a bar, with cameras, with bystanders, with witnesses, and you do not charge somebody for 3.5 months, all of your spidey senses should go up and say why. Now, the one thing that's out there is, was there new information that came out? Were there other witnesses? And we found out through the trial process there was none. But if you read through the affidavit, it clearly stated that Terrence Shannon and this young lady were not together where this said was supposed to happen, and there was 2 minutes of total camera time where they don't know where either one of them were at. And I've said this from the beginning. Terrence Shannon Jr. would have had to been the most clever rapist in the history of the planet to know how to get her outside of the cameras for that specific 2 minutes. And that clearly was not the case. That's clearly what did not happen. That did not happen. So why in the world did you, as you, Matt Norlander, Gary Parrish, Rob Douster, all of the national media talking heads, not spend any time digging into this and saying, hey, listen, I might give this kid the benefit of the doubt. Furthermore, you compounded on that by criticizing Brad Underwood and the Illinois basketball team for playing him after the fact when a Judge Lawless, said that Illinois could not treat him any differently based on the charges that were at hand. And just the pure lack of work, of insight, of foresight, of common sense by anybody in the national media, frankly, has me pissed off. And not only that, there's been some guys in the media that have frankly backtracked, and kudos to you, because there's something in the society where nobody can admit that they were wrong anymore. Frankly, I do it a lot because I'm wrong a lot. But the fact that Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander, specifically those two in their show, which used to be my favorite college basketball podcast, have not come out and said, hey, listen, we were wrong with this, really pisses me off. And I'm going to jump on something here because Jason Ron said it. And our friend of the show, Kirk Dents, was there, and he says there's some really unbelievable things that went on in that courtroom that you wouldn't believe. But Jason Ron said it. You had a detective who admitted to not fully investigating per him, just took her word for it. Both he and the winless DA need to get fired. I'll challenge that. Here's what I think happened. I think the cops got this information and they saw right through the BS from the start. I think they saw this and said, there's nothing to prosecute here. There's nothing to charge. And they had a reckless DA in Gonzalez who wouldn't let it go. And that's why we ended up here. That's where we ended up with this young man who didn't do this crime, was being called a rapist in open public forums. And for him to perform the way he did, I have all the admiration in the world for him. And here's the other thing. One last piece, because St. Dominic's Rosary chimed in. Gary Parrish is a piece of work. Gary Parrish has been quasi-holding the woke flag for a long time. Well, Mr. Woke, there's more of us than there are of them. I know what you mean by that. You were cool. You were cool with slandering a black man based on words only. Words only. Allegations, one person's thoughts on what they said happened to somebody with no evidence whatsoever. You, my friend, need to be called on the carpet for your actions. And frankly, I hope this goes viral. I hope people repost this. I hope we can cut the clip down because I'm pissed off at the complete lack of foresight and work that the national media did on this. And this isn't a Brandon Miller situation. A woman died. A mother died in that situation. Whether he actually committed a crime in the process or not is doesn't matter. What happens here is Terrence Shannon was slandered for months, missed games, missed the All-American. because of words. And nobody in the national media had the balls to step up and say, this shit sounds flimsy. This is flimsy. I think a guy's getting railroaded, because it wouldn't have taken much work or much effort to realize this was garbage.
Yeah, but you sure see him having a whole lot of takes about Caitlin Clark, huh? You know, I'm just saying that Stephen A. Smith makes a week's worth of Caitlin Clark crap and just nonsense and just jargon, made up baloney. But yet nobody really stood up for this young man. And at the end of the day, Kev, I think we know justice was served.
Yes.
I can tell you this. I think God was definitely always with Terrence, and definitely knew the man's innocent. And you know what? The wrong was righted. And I'm so glad that we got to see his journey. Think about that, Kev. We got to experience that and be with him during all that. So,
Ryan, the wrong was not righted. And there's no better person to speak about that than yourself.
No, I mean that the man at least took it to trial, and his innocence is.
So he's not going to serve prison time, but he's going to get called a rapist. He's going to get called a rapist in the NBA because people won't have the balls to come out and say they were wrong.
Well, I just mean this. Okay, and yes, I can speak to this way more than anybody else because I have lived this. But everybody has their own opinions on it. That's fine. I'm glad that he will not have that on his record. I'm glad he can move on with the rest of his life. And I think he will always be a better man for having gone through this. I can tell you that. And I can speak from my experience. He will always be a lot more patient. He will always have a lot more understanding. He'll always have a lot more empathy for people like that. And I guarantee you he'll never forget it. And I know he's a better man for going through this. But we all got to see how strong of a mental fortitude that Terrence has. So I am glad that he can move past this now. I talked to his mom about it, and they're just blessed, and they're happy that their son can now just focus on the NBA draft. So I agree with everything you said, Kev. I mean, we don't need two people on here hollering and saying the same stuff. So I agree with you. But I'm just happy that he can move on with the rest of his life, and I think that his jersey should hang in the rafters in State Farm Center.
Yeah, it's really the least that the school can do, and there have been some good things that come from this. I think that the zero tolerance rule that the university had set up that caused him to get suspended and then furthermore overturned by Judge Lawless will be rectified. And I think it's rightfully so that it's rectified. The question being is like, what my concern is what happens when there's immediately overwhelming evidence that would most likely convict somebody. Are we still going to allow them to play while we wait for a trial to play out? Like I don't like absolutes. I don't like absolutes at all. Because I don't believe that every situation merits an absolute. So I just challenge that process or thought process. But I do think this was a landmark case for college athletics to take a look at athletes and say, you know what, maybe Alabama did the right thing because Brandon Miller wasn't actually suspended and he wasn't actually charged. Maybe that is the right thing until you're actually guilty of committing a quote unquote crime that you are eligible to play, and maybe that works its way out.
And I was on Sports Talk last Thursday with Tupper here in Decatur, which was fun, and it was cool because Franklin,
legend,
dude, Tubbs is my guy, and obviously he's a Decatur boy, so we know each other. He had me come on because there was just so much to talk about. We didn't know Franklin was going to announce right before the show, so we talked about Franklin, but we really talked a lot about Terrence, because the verdict had just been read 2 hours before that. It was a great show. We were both happy for Terrence, but he brought a great point up to me. He said, "What do you think Whitman's going to do now about his policy for student athletes who get charged with crimes? Do you think he's still just do you think they're going to keep it to just say, if you have a student that's accused of something and gets charged, that he's just suspended automatically now?" I think that's a good one because I feel like that's fair. Like, now that you've seen, this is a perfect example. We don't want to say that every time someone gets charged, you should just assume. That's where it's wrong. Just because you get charged with a crime, you should never assume, ever. You shouldn't just say, oh, well, they're charged, so that's bad. That's a bad look for us, so you have to sit out. That to me sounds like, what's the best way to say? Obviously unfair, but it's
contrary to our justice system. Innocent until proven guilty.
Yep.
It just flat out is
contradictory for sure, no doubt.
But you also have situations where, and I'm not trying to besmirch his name, and hopefully he's rectified his life, and by all means he has. But I mean, by all accounts, Kendrick Nunn actually threw that girl down the stairs, right? Like beat her up or whatever that he actually got accused of doing. And maybe he didn't need to play for the University of Illinois anymore. And I don't know the details behind that one, but I know that Kendrick didn't put up much of a fight in that regard. And that was one of the things that, that came out in this whole thing is that and kudos to Terrence to have the courage and the faith in the judicial system, to have the courage and the faith of a jury that certainly didn't look like a jury of his peers.
Yeah.
To turn down the plea that would have been no jail time. That's a scary thing, man. I can't imagine what was going through that young man's mind when that verdict was read, because you were truly leaving it in the hands of 12 strangers. But they didn't deliberate long, and kudos to Souter and the rest of his legal team that eviscerated the other side.
They nailed it, and they tore the detective to shreds, so he deserved it, no doubt. But yeah, so I get what you're saying. I think that could be maybe if they changed it, it could be discretionary, right? Like, let's get all the details first.
Yeah, I also think that the university didn't find any. I mean, I forgot what their judicial policy was.
It's like the OCP or OSCR or something.
OSCR, yeah, they didn't find anything when they did theirs, and so maybe if you do that and you find something, then it justifies it. But simply being charged and moving forward is not enough. I mean, there's enough things. The Duke lacrosse teams, Trevor Bauer, the punter for the Buffalo Bills, and it's going to happen more in college athletics because there's opportunities for subsequent paydays because these guys are getting paid, and that's unfair. That's the heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? And so
it sounds like TSJ's getting promises in the NBA draft already. So
he'll be a first round pick, I have no doubt.
Yeah, I believe so too. And Kevin won't be joining us next week, but we'll get a guest host in, probably Jay Bagan. But I'll be posting the Discord link on later tonight. I'll post that again for anybody interested to get you between shows. I post things every week, to try to keep you guys most updated on the info going around right now. Every week in Illini Nation, we appreciate everybody who jumps on here, who watches the show, who subscribes. With that, Kev, I know, you're still linking up with Illini guys to do a pod with them?
Yeah, there's been some delays of put in here, and prayers for Mike Cagley's family. He's had some son with some injuries recently. I'm sorry, Mike, for putting your stuff out there if I wasn't supposed to, but it put a delay on things. And then obviously the Terrence Shannon trial, and they had Mitch Gaffigan or whatever. Goodness gracious, Mitch did a great job with this. Kudos to him. And so if you want to listen to that, that's on the Illini Guys podcast. It was a great podcast there. But still, Mike and I are still working on getting some things together and connecting this summer. And I think it's going to be on their Sports Spectacular show, if I'm correct. So we'll see. Okay.
That sounds good. Awesome. All right, yeah, and if you missed something, Jeff, the replay will be coming at you live right now, or you could go to YouTube and watch it. Well, with that said, hope you all have enjoyed your Father's Day. We did our fatherly duty trying to entertain you as best we could. Swami out.
Hey, one quick thing. It didn't warrant final thoughts with what was going on. Thomas Dietrich, top 15 finish in the U.S. Open. That's his second straight top 15 finish in a major. He's really starting to come on at this point in his career. Watch out for him at the British Open, the Open Championship next month. So,
that's right. I. Cardinals 2, Cubs 1.